Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up towards Gothenburg once again, and as I've told you many a time, Gothenburg, or Göteborg I should say in Swedish, is the craft beer city when it comes to Sweden. There's some awesome breweries popping up there. So for this one we're going to go to one of the better known breweries actually, and you've seen me review a good number of their beers now. It seems to be that I review one of these every 2 weeks or something like that, but I always enjoy reviewing things from them. So for this one we are going to return to Dugges Bryggeri, and this time we are having a taste of the Big Black Apple. So this one is an apple licorice sour, which in itself is interesting. It comes in at 6% ABV, and to be quite honest with you, I'm really not sure what to expect from this one. This was yet another one of the small partiers that was released through Systembolaget on the 1st of February 2019. So it should be really interesting. As I say, I've had some great IPAs from these guys recently. The Crush was just a beautiful beer. There was Crush and Fresh and things I think as well. You know, they've been doing some really awesome IPAs recently. It has been a little while since I've had one of their sour beers, so very curious to see how this one turns out, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. One thing I should also point out about this beer, there is a beer that's just called Black Apple, and from what I understand that is one of their folk souls that they sold up in Gothenburg. It is also an apple licorice sour, but this one seems to be a little bit of the kind of big brother of that, if you like. But yeah, very much looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Dugges Bryggeri before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you before. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Dugges Bryggeri then. So as I told you before, Dugges Bryggeri are based in Landvetter on the outskirts of Gothenburg on the west coast of Sweden, not too far away from Gothenburg Landvetter airport actually. But the brewery was established back in 2005 in Mölndal by Mikael Engström Dugge, who of course it is named after, and since 2010 they focused solely on producing top fermented beers. And due to the renaissance that's kind of gone on with Swedish craft beer recently, based on the Swedish craft beer boom, the brewery very quickly outgrew their original premises and moved over to Landvetter, and their older brewery only had a capacity of around 1,500 hectolitres of beer per year, but this new brewery started off with an 8,000 hectolitre capacity per year, and I believe they have upscaled that quite considerably since then. Dugges Bryggeri of course are very good when it comes to imperial stouts. As I've said many a time, one of the other styles that I really rate these guys on is coffee stouts. I think Dugges are producing some of the best coffee stouts you're going to find in the world, particularly the Key and the Sidamo Dimptu that they did with Hunter and Sons from Bristol, who unfortunately are no more. But they also brew some of the a lot of the Omnipollo imperial stouts that you'll come across are actually brewed at Dugges Bryggeri as well, under a contract basis from what I understand. So I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why Dugges Bryggeri have become so good at brewing these different stout beers. But you know, very interesting company, this one. I think there are a couple of other breweries that brew their stuff up there as well. But yeah, one of the better known Swedish craft breweries these days I would say, and particularly good when it comes to sour beers, IPAs, and like I mentioned, imperial stouts as well. So yeah, if you get the chance to try some of the Dugges beers, have a go at them for yourself. I would love to see these guys having a go at like a Scotch ale or some of the other styles as well, because they've got very good in the styles that they're already doing. So it would be interesting to see them experiment a little bit more and put some more kind of different styles out there. But within the styles that they do, and within the styles that they specialise in, I guess you could say, they are always experimenting with really interesting things. This beer is another kind of prime example of that. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Dugges Bryggeri for the moment. If you want to read a little bit more, do check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well, and that will keep you up to date with all the latest going-ons at the brewery itself. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. I do like this one, the kind of psychedelic 80s neon kind of thing that's going on there, really nicely presented. There you can see they've always got this little symbol on their beers. So yeah, fantasy reality. They always change the words in that with Dugges, and there you can see one of the other things, they've always got Dugges just with the black kind of trim around the top of the label as well. But it says on the side here, when you get an idea you just can't shake, you need to see it through. Big Black Apple is such an idea. A black licorice and apple sour beer, alluring like an 80s black light poster, something different, shiny. So yeah, should be, as I say, very, very interesting one. There is one of the other symbols of the Dugges Bryggeri as well. I'm not sure how well that's going to come in to focus on the camera. There you go. But yeah, plain bottle cap as always. I always think it would be cool if Dugges just had the little black bottle caps with Dugges written on the top, you know, something like that would be really interesting. But as I said, this guy comes in at 6% ABV. It's a sour beer, wild ale, however you want to term it. When it's licorice, of course, we know that the Scandinavians and the Nordics in general absolutely love licorice. They just, you know, they just can't get enough of that stuff. But yeah, it looks like a very, very nice beer. So without further ado, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. As I mentioned earlier, oh, this one doesn't want to open. As I mentioned earlier, there is a little brother of this one which is just called Black Apple, and I think that one, it's 3.5% according to Rate Beer and stuff like that. So it is, I think that might well be a folk sale that they sell in the supermarkets. But yeah, this one, this one should be very, very interesting. So yeah, let's get rid of the brewery notes just now, and we'll get on with the tasting then. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely dark ebony rosewood colour. It's almost the same in appearance in terms of like a black IPA or a Schwarzbier or something like that. If I hold it up to the light, it does have a little bit of a kind of Coca-Cola edge to it, which is very nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. You could see there was a head of about a quarter finger. I would say it's a kind of very light fawny sort of beige colour there, but yeah, it's really quite nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, as I said, a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see this beer really isn't particularly transparent at all. It's just quite a nice dark sort of hazy kind of thing. Looks very kind of similar in terms of its appearance to a Schwarzbier or a black IPA or a Tmavi, I guess you could say, from the Czech Republic as well. But very nice looking beer this. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one. Oh, now that smells really strange actually. So yeah, straight away with this, it's got a sort of lemony tartness that pops out at you. But you can smell the apples there as well. It's almost got a little bit like a kind of Strongbow cider aroma kind of thing, which is interesting. See, when you get a sour apple beer, you know, you are starting to think, right, is this kind of bordering on cider a little bit? But yeah, definitely some of that. It's almost like when you get Strongbow cider and you leave it in, you know, you leave a little bit of it in the glass overnight and you start to smell those really kind of pungent, sharp apple aromas coming out of it. That's kind of what you're getting a little bit from this beer. The aromas, the Lactobacillus and Brettanomyces, I'm not sure which one they'll have used in this, but the Lactobacillus Brettanomyces will really, you know, really is playing a big role in this one. I wonder if there's a little bit of a bit of black malt in this one, because you can smell that there's a little bit of a roasty quality to this one just underneath. But the licorice, actually, you can pick up the licorice straight away in this, and it's got a lovely kind of sweetness to it actually. I'm not the greatest fan of licorice. I've got more into it since I've been over here in Sweden for the last 3.5 years. Coming up 4 years now actually, geez. But yeah, I've got really more into licorice since I've been over here. And the licorice in this one comes across as actually being really quite sweet and almost a little bit more syrupy. So the aroma in this beer is really quite unusual and quite interesting. I think there's a little touch of black malt in there. There's almost a bit of a breadiness coming out of this beer as well. I don't think anything in terms of brown sugar or stuff like that. But as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But this is definitely one of the more kind of unusual aromas that I've come across in recent times. It's not overly complex. I would say there's a little touch of grassiness and earthiness from a hoppy side of things in there as well. Be curious to know what hops they've used in this beer, to be honest, too. But yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one. As I say, sharp, appley, almost cider-like esters. Good bit of roasty, a little touch of roasty black malt there. The licorice is coming out quite nicely. And also a bit of kind of lemony tartness from the Lactobacillus Brettanomyces, and you've got a nice kind of sort of grassy and earthy quality to this beer as well. So without further ado then, let's get stuck into this. This one is the Big Black Apple, an apple licorice sour beer from Dugges Bryggeri in Landvetter up near Gothenburg here in Sweden. One of the small partiers from the 1st of February 2019. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Ooh. Right. Let's just say this beer works. It really does work. I don't think I've ever reviewed a beer that's quite like that. And you know, Dugges Bryggeri, they're one of these breweries that can throw things together like this. And this is really kind of it's a very creative beer, and it comes across really pretty damn well. I like how everything is going together in this one, so I'll say straight away, thumbs up to Dugges Bryggeri for even thinking to try this, and also for actually pulling it off. It's pretty impressive that. If you get the chance to try this beer, I'll say just on the basis of one sip, that's nice. So yeah, have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. This is definitely one of the more unusual craft beers I've come across recently. Yeah, that's really good. You know, try this beer for yourself and just see what you think. In terms of the malt base, then let's start with the malt base. You can feel there is a little bit of a bready quality to this one. That just blankets the middle of your palate. It's a sort of pale malty bready sort of thing, and it's almost like the licorice is just kind of infused into that. It really is just interesting to see how that's all kind of infused together. The malt base, it does gradually get sweeter the further into the aftertaste you go, but I'll say straight away, I really like this one. It's definitely one when you take it, when you see this in the bottle, you might be a little bit sceptical. You'd be like, how does that work? But trust me, it really does. This beer, it starts off a little bit sharp. Okay, it starts off a little bit sharp, and then it just smooths out and becomes a little bit sweeter in the malt base. It's a little bit sharp around the edges of your palate, then it just smooths out and gives you a very nice kind of like a nice sort of malty, licoricey sweetness in there. It's really nice how all these different flavours go together. Yeah, but that's awesome. That in the middle of your palate, the way the licorice comes out is really nice. It is a slightly kind of sweet licorice. I think, you know, it is more like a kind of it does almost taste a bit like there's a little bit of brown sugar in there. It's almost got a little bit of this kind of herbal, medicinally sort of thing in the centre of the palate too, which is really nice. I do wonder if they've used a little bit of caramel or something like that, just to give it a little bit of a brown sugar edge in there. But the way that the licorice comes out is very interesting. It's just almost infused into the sort of pale malt backbone of the beer, and then you've got a little bit of that brown sugary note in the middle of your palate, and the further into the aftertaste you go, the more sort of herbal and slightly phenol-y it becomes. It does have an element of a kind of cough syrupy. I don't know if you get Cavonia in Sweden, the kind of the thing you get when you've got a cough, the throat syrup. It really, the flavour of this one in some ways reminds me of that. But the way the licorice comes out is beautiful. I mean, it's very, as I say, it's a beer that you would be sceptical about buying, but it certainly is a very interesting one. So thumbs up to Dugges Bryggeri for pulling this off. Yeah, I really like what they've done here with this. Try this beer for yourself and just see what you think. It really is very well done. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there's a little tiny touch of earthiness in there. That builds in quite nicely with some of the more, there is, you know, I was picking up in the aroma that there might be a little bit of a roasty black malt to this one. As the middle of your palate dries out a little bit, you can definitely pick up a little bit of that in this beer. I suspect from the way the flavours are coming out as well that the licorice has been actually, you know, it's I don't think it's flavour essence that they'll have used in this one. I think it's more likely to be you know, it's more likely to be that they've actually added the licorice. They've just chopped it up into lots of little tiny bits and just gone for it with it. I think that's definitely what they've done here, because the licorice, the way that licorice flavour is infused, I don't think you could do that any other way. I don't think even the flavour essence would make it feel a little bit more kind of fake than it is, if that makes sense. So I think they've probably chopped up little bits of licorice and actually stuck it in the brew for this one. So yeah, really, really cool how this beer works. But as I say, the roasty black malt backbone in this one, you can feel that that's sort of blending in with the kind of earthy hops, and as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, that just smooths out a little bit, and as you get towards the very front corners of the palate, you can detect just a little touch of a slightly floral aromatic note. Then round the very front curve of the palate, you've got a nice you've just got a nice little bit of a lighter kind of grassy quality there, and then behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And yeah, this is the way it comes across is very, very nice. It's lots of juice, you know, lots of juicy apples behind the front curve of the palate. There's a little bit more of a kind of, it's got a little bit of a slightly candied kind of red fruity sort of phenol-y type thing behind the front curve of the palate. So that little oily bubble that I always talk about, that's where those kind of flavours are starting to come out of the beer. But the appley and sort of lemony flavours that you'd expect from the wild yeasts that they've used in this, they kind of come out, the sort of lemony flavours come out on the edge of the tongue, and they come out in the impact, they come out when you first take the beer in, and then they just fade away a little bit and just sit there. So you can really feel the sort of lemony Lactobacillus brettanomyces kind of thing just kind of lingering there, and you've got a lot of nice juicy apple flavours just sitting behind the front curve of the palate too. It's just if you draw like a little oval behind the very front curve of your tongue, just at the front part of that, that's where you're getting the nice kind of juicy apple flavours out of this. It's not really resemblant of cider, it's more along the lines of like a mousse, like a kind of Swedish mousse. Which I guess for those of you not watching from Sweden, I guess Denmark and Norway have mousse as well, but it's kind of more along the lines of like a, if you take the, you know, the concentrate, that diluting juice concentrate that you get, you put the water in, the appley flavours that are coming out really do kind of remind you of that a little bit, I would say. Yeah. It's really nice just how all these flavours go together, and as I say, the main thing about this beer is, you'd be quite sceptical about trying this, but it really, really does work. So once again, a huge thumbs up to Dugges Bryggeri, 1 for thinking of this, and 2 for pulling it off, and pulling it off well at that. But yeah, have a go at this beer for yourself and just see what you think. This is one that's it definitely fits into the more kind of unusual category of things that I've reviewed recently. So yeah, get these while they're still available actually, and it'd be a shame, I think, if they've got a beer this unusual but they only do it, you know, if they only do it once or something like that. I think the Swedes, you know, probably would love this one. The Swedes, as I say, love anything with licorice. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, this beer, I'd say it's mid-bodied. The carbonation is very smooth. The mouthfeel is leaning more towards the oily side of things. Yeah. It's got a nice little bit of a juicy, fruity quality to it. As was mentioned, you've got a little bit of tartness from the Lactobacillus brettanomyces, whichever wild yeast they're using here. I don't know if it actually says on the side here. No, it just says, no, it doesn't actually tell you which one of those yeasts they've used in this one. But yeah, you've definitely got a little bit of tartness from the wild yeasts in this beer. Lovely bit of smoothness in the malt base. There is a little bit of that roasty black malt that I was talking about too, but mainly the whole sweetness of the malt base. It's quite the malt base itself, I think, is quite smooth, but there's a little bit of sweetness comes in from that licorice infusion, and also I think there's a bit of brown sugar, just a very slight little bit of brown sugar in the middle of the palate as well. Nice little touch of hoppy bitterness, but as I say, this beer is all about how these different flavours kind of mix and interact, and it does it beautifully. So, you know, basically have a go at this beer for yourself and see what you think. I think they've done a great job of this one, and I'm not, in some ways, I'm a little bit surprised because it's such an unusual beer, but then again I'm not surprised because it is Dugges Bryggeri who have put this one out here, and they're not going to put out a bad beer at all, I think. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this is the Big Black Apple from Dugges Bryggeri in Landvetter, just outside of Gothenburg in Sweden. One of the more unusual beers that I've reviewed in the last little while, but definitely one of the more interesting ones as well. I think this one Works really damn well, so get this one while you get the chance, but let's leave it at that. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Dugges Bryggeri as well. I will definitely return to these guys in the fairly near future, but I thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media. This is the Big Black Apple, a 6% licorice, apple and licorice sour beer. Sorry, apple and black licorice sour beer from Dugges Bryggeri in Landvetter outside of Gothenburg here in Sweden. Until the next time, slanges now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål.